All right, let's talk another element, another principle that I've used in my career, which has been, don't fight theoretical battles, win the results war, is don't sell to engineers and technologists. Okay. Ever. Okay. And let me say this. Over the course of my career, you know how like lunch and everyone here has sat through like a lunch and learn. Everyone here has, signed up for a webinar thinking that they were going to learn something, and really all they did, it was just a marketing pitch, you know, with some veiled technical value. How many times have you been talking to a business development or marketing person for some technology company? They may make a platform or some hardware, and you as the engineer or the person who's going to be solving the problem asks what really amounts to is a basic technical question, and they have to refer you to some architect to answer that question for you, or some sales engineer. Here's a little known fact in our industry. Okay. The marketing and business development people, even if they're degreed engineers, are always the dumbest people in the room when they are selling something to you, and they don't know it. And I'm not doing that to
When you say dumbest though, how? Like, because there's other elements of being like I would say a salesperson is great at
they have no they have no idea that they're not being taken seriously. So what I mean is this, is that when a business development person is in a room and they're doing a pitch, they're going through a PowerPoint presentation. What you will have are non-technologists in the room and technologists in the room. If you can't answer technical questions about the thing you're trying to sell, no one takes you seriously. So, and this is where business development and marketing people screw up when it comes to selling to technologists. This is a really important point. And technologists are engineers, developers, people who understand like the software stack, right? So you have back end, right? You have back end, you have middle API, and then you have UI, right? UI is what the customer interacts with, but there are other technical elements of any piece of software, right? You've got the API that interacts with the back end, the master data model. A technologist is going to ask you questions about how external applications interact with the API to retrieve data from the master data model. They're going to ask you about certification of connections. They're going to ask you about user roles, and they're going to ask you about processing speed. They're going to ask you about the overhead required for certain functions and capabilities within the API. And those are all basic questions. Those are, I mean, none of that's complicated. It's basic stuff. And the marketing and business development people can never answer those questions. Okay. And this morning when we were talking, when I was talking with Eric Kimberling, right before we started, he asked me, "Hey, how was your weekend? What'd you do yesterday?" And I said, "Oh, I was developing yesterday, and yesterday all day long, I had a doctor's appointment in the morning, and then I was developing all day. I was working with an Arduino Portenta H7 with the Vision module, and I was applying a Vision application that I built using an NVIDIA Vision tool and written in a Jupyter notebook to have it run in an Arduino Portenta H7. And I was modifying my code to optimize it for the Arduino." And he asked me, he's like, you still do that stuff?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this whole application. So we're building a product, okay, that basically can predict failure using vision and AI, using a live stream camera and machine learning and artificial intelligence to predict when an athlete is going to either fail on a deadlift or get injured." Okay. And we've been classifying the injury and success movements. Right. And that's what I've been working on for the last couple of months. We're sponsoring the Shaw Classic, which is, Brian Shaw, 4-time world's strongest man. He does a strongman event in Colorado every year. We are a key sponsor of the Shaw Classic this year, and we're going to be testing our solution at the event. Our cameras will actually be on the ground monitoring the athletes, and we'll be predicting injury and success before they ever complete their movement. We'll know whether or not they've successfully completed the movement. And moreover, we're going to be publishing all the data in real time to a unified namespace in the cloud, where the manufacturer of the barbell is going to of the bar is going to be able to consume that data in real time. And our goal is to give them feedback on real world, real life examples of athletes using their tools, and it'll be completely non-invasive, only using vision. I'm building that all by myself. There's no other engineer working with me. I'm doing that. And Eric asked me, why do you do that? And I said, well, we live in a different world. Yes, I'm an executive, but I'm an executive of a tech company, which means I need to know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to technology. And in order for you to know what I'm talking about, I got to stay close to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Did you see
Part of
that
the
tweet from Elon?
Which one?
Where he talks about that exact point where he feels like managers should be technical in nature. Like you can't have a cavalry leader who's never ridden a horse before,
Agreed. It's I stay close to the technology because otherwise I can't lead technologists, which brings me back to selling to technologists. What do technologists care about? They care about solving the problem. So here's how you sell to technologists. If I'm a business development person or I'm a marketing person and I am trying and I have a product I'm supposed to be selling, what I'm going to do is I'm going to learn what problems that product can solve. And then I'm going to go into an organization and I'm going to ask them about their problems. And then I'm going to use my product to solve their problems. Okay. This is how we sell our solutions. There is literally no point. There's literally no point in me tricking a customer into hiring our company. There's really no point in coming up with, slipping lipstick on a pig or throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. What you really want to do is go into a room and you want to solve problems using the product you want to sell. That's how you sell to technologists. You ask the technologist, the engineer and the developer, what their problem is, and then you solve it in front of them. We've talked about this. I've talked about this a million times. Okay. What you don't do is go in with a pre-canned PowerPoint presentation. You don't go in there with a pre-canned message. Get through your 20-minute presentation and try to find the dummy in the room who's going to buy from you. What you really want to do is solve the problem of the smartest people in the room. That's how you sell to technologists. And in order to do that, you have to be fluent in the technology. The reason I bring that up is I keep getting a lot of inquiries from other vendors, other companies who reach out and, how have you guys scaled the way you guys have scaled? Like, how did you build, we're talking, this company who wants to buy us reached out and, they're asking us all these questions about how did you in 7 years, build what arguably is the most famous integrator on the planet? And, seriously, I don't know of another integrator who's more well-known than Intellic Integration. And we did that in 7 years. How do you work with the companies everyone else wants to work with? Like, how did you do that? And I said, you know what? I did the thing that no one tries to do. And that is just start with the problem. Like you're focused on just selling something. Your measurement of success is the sales number. My measurement of success is whether or not I've solved the problem, right? So how do we, that's how we do it. I firmly believe, and we're going to talk about principled capitalism here in a second, and then get into crypto. The value you get out of your economy, especially the economy we have now, the value we get out of the tech economy, is a function of the value you put into it. If you create value in the market, the money takes care of itself. It just does. It just does. I am very skeptical of people who can't answer technical questions. I'm very skeptical. I don't buy anything from anyone who can't answer a technical question for me. And I don't ask them really hard ones. When people ask me a technical question, this is one of the reasons when I go and any of us on our team go and we're selling to a prospective customer, We always ask for there to be a whiteboard in the room, because you might ask me a technical question that I'm going to answer. I'm going to sketch it on the board for you. I'm going to show you exactly how it happens. I'm going in hoping you try to trip me up. You, as technologists, you guys already do this. When a salesperson comes into a room, you try to trip them up. And the moment you realize they're just trying to sell you something, you literally in your head turn off. You turn your brain off. And I don't understand why more people don't just try to solve the problem. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I suspect it's because maybe they can't. Maybe they can't solve the problem. So therefore they're trying to use smoke and mirrors, whatever, to do it. So,
You know what's the worst?
yeah, man.
When you go into a sales meeting and you're an engineer and you're already sold on the solution, you just want to have like actual you want to have like, hey, how do I do this? Right. I was in a sales meeting yesterday evaluating a solution and I was like, hey, how do I add custom properties and metadata to my contacts so I can use that for templated messages? And they, this salesperson did the right thing, like by pivoting. He understood I was already sold. So he's not going off this PowerPoint script, and that's the worst is when they're like, oh well, no, well, I'll answer that later, but let me show you this. And I'm like, no, I already want to buy it. I've already seen all that. I want to know the answer to this question. Like, so that's the worst from my perspective. I'm sure you guys have all experienced that. It's like they're not listening or something,
Right. Well, because what they've done is they're not focused on solving the problem. They're focused
on the sale.
Yeah, what they've done is they've created a list of features and benefits. Okay. And they're pitching features and benefits. And they ask qualifying questions to hopefully align one of the features and benefits they've got listed on their PowerPoint presentation with the thing that you said you're looking for, right? And they ask open-ended questions to get you talking, right? But that doesn't work in technology. You know what works in technology? Solving someone's problem. You know what Elon Musk, I was going to not talk about Elon, but I'm going to. You know what Elon Musk's favorite interview question is? Number one, he asks, tell me your life story. And then while you're telling the life story, you're going to talk about some problem you solved. And then he asks you, tell me a little bit more about that problem. What exactly was the problem? And tell me exactly how you solved it. And he's looking for detail. He's looking for the difference between a function and a class. He's looking for the difference between theory and instantiation. He's looking for the difference between ad hoc and modeled. He wants the details. You know why? Because the person who solves the actual problem, that is their baby. They can tell you every single detail about how they fixed it. They can tell you every parameter in every model class. They can tell you every attribute of every ad hoc parameter. They can tell you exactly how they wrote the code, the way they iterated through the data set, which variables they created in their scripts. They can tell you every single detail. And the person who didn't solve the problem can't tell you anything. They can tell you something at the 15,000 foot level.